Hey everyone, welcome to Pod, Past and Present, the podcast where we dive into all things pop culture, past, present, and sometimes a little chaotic in between. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Lene.
And we'll be talking about TV, movies, music, and all the moments that shaped us, whether from way back or trending right now. Welcome back. So this is part 2 of the Disney Renaissance episode because there was just way too much going on that we couldn't even put this in one episode. So we can't wait to go through this part 2 with you. Excited! Next on the list.
we did say that the two were being worked on at the same time. And this one was the one that everybody favoured. But, it's one of your favourite films, to be honest.
Oh my God.
It is Pocahontas, which was released in 1995.
Talk to one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This would be Disney's first feature focused on a real life historical figure. The film aimed to balance Disney's hallmark musical and animated storytelling style with more serious subject matter, including themes of cultural conflict, environmentalism, and racial understanding. Katzenberg reportedly described the project as Disney's West Side Story, with the interracial romance between Pocahontas and John Smith echoing the tensions and emotional complexity of that musical. I don't know if I should admit that. You'll say it. I ain't seen West Side Story.
Girl, neither have I.
So
it's okay. This is a safe space.
Yeah.
We probably should watch it.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Anyway, as Pocahontas and the Lion King were developed
Concurrently.
That's the word. Concurrently, there was a sense of division between the two projects. Many of Disney's top animators and directors initially believed that Pocahontas was going to be bigger, more prestige project, and they chose to work on it instead of The Lion King. But ironically, The Lion King, which was considered the underdog project, ended up surpassing all expectations and becoming one of the most successful animated films in history. A major event at Disney during this time was the departure of Jeffrey Katzenberg in 1994.
Why did he leave again? Because of the tension. Because he wanted Frank Wells' position.
That's
I think.
it. That's it.
Yeah. No.
Right.
Yes.
Let me get into
the
it.
Tea.
So, yeah. So once Frank Wells passed in 1994, Jeffrey hoped to take his role as CEO of
Lene?
I didn't mean to do it then. Once Frank Wells passed in 1994, Jeffrey hoped to take his role as CEO of Walt Disney Studios just before the release of Lion King. Katzenberg had played a pivotal role in overseeing the Disney Renaissance and shaping the studio's animation successes, but tensions between him and Disney's CEO Michael Eisner led to his resignation.
When he departed, it actually caused a lot of turmoil behind the scenes, didn't it? Because he actually went on to then co-found DreamWorks Animation, which would later become Disney's major competitor in the animation industry, especially with films like Shrek.
I can't even say anything. If I say something, we're going to go into a whole 5-hour conversation about just the one film, Shrek. Though Pocahontas was popular with critics and fans when it debuted, the film admittedly hadn't aged well. Its historical inaccuracy worked against it, and the love story begins to follow the same formula as its films before it, making it at times a little predictable. Critics also criticized the film's portrayal of Native American culture. I think that was one of the biggest things, isn't it?
Yeah.
And just the story of Pocahontas and who she was exactly, I think really frightened people.
So in real life, Pocahontas was actually said to be around 10 to 12 years old when she met John Smith.
Yeah.
And the film portrays her as an adult in a romantic relationship with him. So, yes. The film simplifies and romanticizes the interactions between Native Americans and European settlers, glossing over the violent colonization of them, the exploitation and disease brought by Europeans, which devastated indigenous populations.
Do you know what? I'm going to be so honest, yeah? I really am. If this was me and anyone tried to gloss over what our ancestry went through and try and portray a love story, I think I would be fuming.
Imagine a story where a man comes over to a plantation, a white man, and this historical figure of a slave, for example, was 10 to 12, and she was, molested and all sorts, and then they made her an adult in a remake and made that slave girl fall in love with this white master.
Yeah, we're fuming.
even though, and that he originally had ignorant views on slaves and just saw them as Negroes who should be sold and bought, and then said, but you break the mold.
Wild.
And you're pretty and I want to marry you.
Yeah, it's bad, you know. It's so annoying because the film
is so good.
Is beautiful. I think Pocahontas as a character, which Disney created, was beautiful.
Yes.
The grown woman. She was portrayed like a very strong, intelligent, courageous character, wasn't she?
Yeah.
But
also, Disney
stresses me out.
Yeah, Disney was massively criticised for commodifying and appropriating Indigenous cultures for profit.
Yeah.
And they didn't actually consult Native communities or respect their perspectives.
Of course they didn't. Of course they... Sorry.
No, you get passionate, girl.
Of course
they didn't. And also that whole noble savage trope, that they're noble savages, they're mystical noble savages, is not seen well by the Indigenous people, which rightly so.
Mm-hmm.
It reinforced a common stereotype rather than offering a nuanced or authentic depiction of their culture.
Yeah. It's a bit shit. Yeah. And I mean, they did portray the white, let's say, honestly, like the white characters, like when they came over, apart from John Smith, they did portray them as being ignorant and evil, they did all of that. I
do think the direction they were going in is that they weren't, from my perspective, I don't think they were trying to paint white people in a better light.
No.
The colonizers in a better light. They were colonizers and they were villains in the film. I just think it was romanticizing this idea of two real people where one was a minor and a child, and then turning it into romance, for me was my biggest issue, and the whole how they depicted Indigenous people.
Yeah. But I mean, the music was good.
The music was incredible. It is still probably one of my favorite scores.
And you know, sorry, when you take away like all of the shit, let's be honest, like when you take away all of the shit from it, you love the romance between John Smith and Pocahontas.
I do. Yeah, I just wish it wasn't based on real people.
No, I know. That's why I'm saying take all that shit away from it. Yeah. Sorry, take all that rubbish away from it.
Renee, you know what I'm going to say, don't you?
What? Yeah, that's what I'm going to.
You did it.
I'll be Pocahontas.
Okay. I'd rather die tomorrow than live 100 years without knowing you.
I think that's how the scene goes anyway.
I think that's how it goes.
I just remember him being tied up, so surely he can't do anything with his hands.
I also thought John Smith was the hottest thing going.
He was a very good-looking character.
Very attractive and
very good-looking character.
I'm going to spit.
Very
good-looking character. He was... When I tell you that man is so fine. To me, it was one of the best scores.
We didn't speak about the Lion King score.
It's okay, we can talk about it now.
Wild.
The Lion King score and soundtrack. That's why it's the best.
We spoke about Elton John, but we didn't speak about... We went to go see him live.
Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer is hands down.
Get out of here.
Sorry.
He is hands down.
Hands down, the greatest. Him and John Williams, to me, the greatest composers of all time.
My God. Yeah, no, that's...
And Alan Menken. I would put Alan Menken up there for me.
Yeah,
I would.
But yeah, three.
Hans Zimmer as composer in The Lion King, he and if you ever get the chance to see Hans Zimmer live, I'm begging you, do it.
Go and do it.
Wow. Just couldn't stop crying.
From the start of the film, Lauren.
From the start of the film
to the end.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyway.
Stunning. Beautiful.
But in saying that, back to Pocahontas, despite the critics, it actually won 2 Academy Awards for the Best Original Song, Colours of the Wind, Best Original Score, which was done by Alan Menken, which further cemented Disney's dominance in animation during the 1990s.
1990s?
My words out now.
1990s?
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah, so considering it was so... Yeah, I don't even know.
So controversial.
Yeah. Considering it was so controversial, it was very, very successful.
Yeah.
And continued that success for the Renaissance period.
Yeah.
And then took us on to... This film reminds me of you so much. The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which was released in 1996, along with the greatest person to ever grace this earth, me. I was released in 1996.
You were?
So I'm saying.
Oh, of Yes. Congratulations. Happy birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday. You know, the thing about this film for me, I didn't know Esmeralda was Spanish. I thought she was black.
I didn't think she was Spanish. Oh, no. No. I didn't think that. Sorry. No.
She's Spanish. But I thought she was black.
No, I didn't think she was black.
I did.
I didn't think she was black.
I did.
Because I'll be so honest, I looked at her and I was like, she doesn't look like me. She's brown, but she doesn't look like me. With her hair and her clothes.
Yes. Now, I just thought, I just didn't think they knew how to draw afros, so I thought that was the closest they got because her hair was big.
Yeah.
Because her hair was big. I was like, oh my God, she's like me. And it was black. Like, her hair was big and black. So I was like, oh,
that's nice.
That felt like my hair at the time. Because my hair was long.
Yeah, yours was glossy, long,
very
and black,
glossy, long and black. So I was like, I'm Esmeralda, and that was actually not the case.
That's real cute.
I know, right? Described as the story of an outsider, a frightening visage with is it visage?
Yeah, I think so. Visage.
Visage
sounds nicer.
Visage sounds nicer. Visage. Visage. The story of an outsider, let me start again. Described as the story of an outsider, a frightening visage with a beautiful soul, one who wants to be accepted by the world around him, but must tackle his own inner fears in order to do so. I know. The production of The Hunchback of Notre Dame is actually marked as one of the most ambitious and daring films of Disney's Renaissance era. Completely agree. Especially with its religious undertones and just the whole, the racism, the murdering of people, the abuse. It's actually based on Victor Hugo's 1831 novel, Notre Dame de Paris.
Ooh.
The film tackled themes of religion, sin, and justice, which were darker and more complex than the content of most previous Disney films. It actually wasn't the first representation of Notre Dame de Paris. So they actually had a 1921 silent movie version of the novel. The Hunchback of Notre Dame performed really well at the box office, actually. It grossed over 325 million worldwide.
Wow.
Now, it didn't reach the astronomical success of The Lion King, but it was still considered a commercial success because, which to me, a commercial success means that it made more profit than budget. Yeah,
that would be,
it's right. Okay, cool. Just double checking.
Yeah, no,
that's what makes
it clear.
Success.
Yeah, everybody. Because even if the figure as well, sorry, this is going to sound really stupid, because even if the figure seems really, really large, you wouldn't believe how much money goes into creating
of it. Yeah, the salaries of the people creating it, everything. It's a lot. Now, the original novel actually is a lot darker, so they did take away a lot of the plot in the original novel because it just wasn't suitable for children, and it had a lot of adult themes, which included the lust of Judge Claude Frollo for Esmeralda, the dehumanization of Quasimodo, and the moral corruption of society, which I still think it really touches on in the film.
Yeah, it does.
The lust of Frollo to Esmeralda always creeped me out as a kid. I didn't like the way that he smelled her hair. Do you remember? I just don't. I didn't like. It was still it was still there in the film, but it wasn't as dark as the novel at all.
Because outside, he was obviously racist and was terrible to the Spanish people, but then in private, then wanted to be all over. Are you mad? Ugh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, and then you know what he is? Honestly, he is what some modern men remind me of. Men that look down on women that see themselves as proud sexual beings, that are probably they probably are sex workers, and they will talk down on these women, and they'll be the same men creating these women in DMs.
Yeah.
And over them on OnlyFans.
In the privacy, they wanna
in the private world, they just want to they just want to be all over these women.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's a word, Lauren, it's gonna really annoy me.
Dehumanize.
No.
Sexualize, objectify.
I mean all of the above.
Yeah. He represents that for me.
It kind of reminds me of the time when you got the forbidden fruit comment. That's what it gives me.
Yeah. That's what I think. That's why I think I'm like, he irks me, because I know that type of man, and I've experienced the sexualization from that type of man. So it's like, oh, you make me sick.
Yeah,
that you in front of people would be like, oh, yes, we can't. No, it's the woman like you. No, and then in private want to come try. Anyway. The original ending of the book is actually far from Disney friendly, with the death of many, many characters, which I'm actually curious about. I wonder who died.
same.
I'm not sure. Look it up. Let us know. The Hunchback of Notre Dame received generally positive reviews, with many critics praising its ambition, visuals, and music. The film was also praised for its mature themes and willingness to tackle difficult issues, which helped it stand out from previous Disney films. I really, really like that, because I do think it is something that feels quite mature for a Disney film. And I just, what I loved? I feel like Esmeralda was, for me, the first character I ever saw that truly expressed empathy. I loved her song, God Help the Outcasts, and how she just gave herself to God and talked about helping those around her that had less. It was just so stunning.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
I was just reading the main characters that die. Obviously, we know at the end of the Disney film that Frollo is thrown.
Yeah.
Well, he actually fell off the side of Notre Dame. Get my words out then. But yeah, he also did in the original story, the Victor Hugo's original story, he also was like thrown off the side of it. But, oh my God, Esmeralda?
She died?
Yeah.
Is she burned at the stake?
No, my gosh. It's falsely accused of murder and witchcraft, which again was put in the film. And then, despite Quasimodo's efforts to save her, she's executed by hanging. So the fire thing.
The fire thing.
Wild. But that's, I think, how
a lot of
witches were also like burned as I don't know. And then Quasimodo, but this is so sad. He's so heartbroken. He sneaks into her grave and lies beside her body and dies of starvation while holding her remains. I want to cry. Like, what? This is so sad. Oh my God. No, I want to cry. He said, not my Esme. No. Esme. Not the Esme. Oh, that's so sad.
What about Hot John? What's his name?
I didn't say anybody else. I just said them three.
So my guy still, what's his name?
So, well, I did put main characters as well.
John Travolta Smith. No, it's not John Smith or John Travolta. His name's not John. He had a cute name. I remember liking his name.
Phoebus. Oh no, Phoebus.
I like that name, Phoebus.
Oh, geez.
I don't think I wouldn't not enough to name a child that. I like the name Phoebus. It's like, I don't know why Phoebus gives the same energy as Reuben for me.
Reuben?
I don't know why. Wow. Phoebus, Reuben.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
It gives me Hercules.
Hercules vibes.
Demetrius.
Well, speaking of that.
Oh, that was good, girl. I didn't even think of doing that, but that was so good.
Speaking of Hercules, that happens to be the next film on the list. So, after completing Aladdin, Ron Clements and John Musker.
Wait, you didn't say the year, bro. I go back.
I'm sorry. Hercules was released in 1997. Now, Ron Clements and John Musker, after completing Aladdin, they were looking for a new project and they were intrigued by the idea of adapting Greek mythology for a Disney audience. Oh no, do you want to continue?
Sure. I was so into it with you.
Sorry, I realised I just talked so much about Hunchback. I was like, it's probably time for you to...
It's fine. So they decided to focus on the story of Hercules, the half-god, half-mortal hero, which allowed for a mix of epic storytelling, action, and humour. Clements and Musker envisioned the film as a superhero origin story, with Hercules discovering his godlike powers and facing a series of trials to prove himself. The film's tone was heavily influenced by screwball comedies and fast-paced humour of Looney Tunes.
Oh, very cool.
Giving it a distinctively playful vibe compared to the other Disney Renaissance films. I like that. That's very cool.
It is very cool.
I'm going to go back and watch that. The film's antagonist, Hades, was reimagined as a fast-talking, humorous villain rather than the more somber god of the underworld from Greek mythology.
I do think that was a brilliant way to do it. I think making Hades the way that they did added to the film. I think we'll have this discussion at the end, but I think that he, for me, was the winning thing of the film. James Woods.
I think they did that with not only his character, but they also did that with, Meg.
Yeah.
Instead of making her literally a damsel in distress, making her witty, very sarcastic.
And a villain.
And a bit of a villain, yeah. And very much like, I've got to do what I've got to do for myself.
Yeah. She was the first truly independent woman I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
Well, no, Esmeralda probably was actually.
But she was just funny.
She's so funny.
Yeah, they brought a lot of humour to
I'm a damsel. I'm in distress. I can handle it. Have a nice day.
It's so good.
So making Hades humorous.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was key to the film's comedic tone, with Hades becoming one of the most memorable Disney villains, voiced brilliantly by James Woods.
Brilliant.
The film also featured cutting-edge CGI for certain sequences, most notably the Hydra battle scene. Yeah, because it's so crazy.
The Hydra battle scene was insane.
Yeah,
and you can tell the difference in the animation. Like when when he chops the head off and all the heads start growing and it becomes like 100 heads. Oh, it's so good. That was the scariest part of the film for me. I hated that part as a kid.
Yeah.
I would forward it. I couldn't watch it all. Yeah, I hated it. It really freaked me out as a child.
It was scary, but it was good. Why?
Yeah, it was so good. It was really good.
I was like, stop cutting the fucking heads off.
Hercules.
Oh, wait, was that what he did?
Yeah, he did. He kept cutting them all like Hercules. Even we at like 7 was like, babe.
Like, this is repeating. We can see what the problem is here. How do you not?
In it.
Yeah.
Screaming.
And for the music, Disney once again returned to Alan Menken, who had been the driving musical force behind The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. And this time, Menken worked with lyricist David Zippel to create a soundtrack that was a fusion of gospel, R&B, and pop.
Making it the best soundtrack. I'm not even going to front. Yeah. I think it is. I think it's on par with Lion King for me, Hercules, that soundtrack.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it was amazing because one of the film's boldest choices was the use of gospel chorus to narrate the story, and that was genius.
Narrating that film.
Yeah.
As the
We Are the Muses, a group of 5 female gospel singers acted as the film's Greek chorus, delivering some of the most memorable songs, including The Gospel Truth, Go the Distance, which is one of my favorite songs of all time, and Zero to Hero. Zero to Hero, just like them. So good.
I Won't Say I'm in Love.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite.
One of the best anti-love ballads, I guess, of all time.
Yeah.
But you know what's the best thing about the Muses?
She said, I won't say.
Were the Muses the first black characters in a Disney film?
I don't know. No. I'm saying that. I don't actually know.
Because think about it. I mean, let's face it, the Lion King characters were black, but like, they're lions. So they're not, whereas I'm sure these are the first black characters. Think about it, Nay. We didn't have any black.
But are they black characters, though, the Muses? Are they actually black characters?
Must be. Yeah, they're black women. Nay, they're black women.
No, because it's...
You know, truth say, I thought Esmeralda was black, so I could
I'm like, because it's based on, like, Greek mythology and everything.
But they also gospel singers.
Well, they're gospel singers, but, I mean, that doesn't mean...
Yeah, it does.
You know what? We should check that, because I would say...
I must please fact check that.
What they call
fact check that.
Muses.
In Hercules. Black women. Well, I can't believe we're looking this up. I'm embarrassed because they are...
Why? I don't know. Oh my God. Yeah. They are depicted as black women, styled in a way that evokes African-American gospel singers. They serve as the narrators of the film and embody the spirit and the energy of gospel music.
What? I knew it.
Wow.
I can't believe.
Why did I not think that, though? Do you know what it is? Because, right, here we go again. Because they've taken black women as gospel singers, but put them in a Greek myth.
I get what you're saying.
There's no black culture that's in the film other than just black singers.
Yeah. But they're narrating and they're depicted on a vase.
Wow.
So
vase.
Sorry.
Vase. That's amazing.
I can't believe
I was today years old. Yeah, because
I am baffled by that though, Lynette.
Are you?
That you didn't think they were black.
They were brown. To me, I didn't know where they'd come from. I was like, they're brown, but I don't know. Like Esmeralda was brown. And you thought she was black. I said, she ain't black. She
right. You are, you know what? You make a good... I'll give you that. Because I thought Esmeralda was black and she wasn't. And you're all right. Okay, fine. I'll give you that. Danny DeVito as Philatides is just, I think, one of the best parts of the film as well for me. Phil brings me to tears in the film at the very end when Hercules becomes a star in the sky and they go, that's Phil's boy. And he gets a tear and I'm like, oh my God, that's all he wanted.
It's so good.
I think Phil, to me, is the guy, like, you know, you had Hercules sing Go the Distance, but then you had Phil sing his little song about what he wanted in life. He was the only side character I've ever seen get his own song to be like, you know.
Yeah. It's good. I freaking love this film.
Yeah, I love it.
Hercules obviously was a box office success, grossing over $252 million worldwide. And again, it didn't reach the blockbuster heights of films like The Lion King or Aladdin.
I mean, which film,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, you know what? I'm surprised, to be fair, that it didn't do as well. I would put Aladdin and Hercules on par with one another, but I mean, Aladdin, was incredible. Hercules received generally positive reviews, with many critics praising its humor, bold visual style, and James Wood's standout performance as Hades. It was
the standout. For me,
his hair got blown out. His hair got blown out. It's so funny.
It is brilliant.
I love it.
It is brilliant.
The film was appreciated for its unique blend of modern pop culture references.
Yes. Zero to Hero song. If you ever watch that film back, just watch the Zero to Hero song and the pop culture.
Yeah.
Like from the fact that he's just getting merch and he's getting the sandals.
The little soda. That was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was clever.
Very clever.
I did feel like, yeah, you do step into the 90s with that film. However, some critics felt that Hercules didn't quite match the emotional depth or storytelling strength of earlier Disney Renaissance films like The Lion King or Beauty and the Beast. It's like, can you win? Anyway, the film's more tongue-in-cheek approach and reliance on fast-paced humor didn't resonate with all audiences, but I'd say sometimes give it a break in it. We need to laugh.
Not every day, bawling and objectifying women and appropriating cultures.
You've just given me Hunchback of Notre Dame, right?
I need a smile.
Yeah.
And I need a little kiki in the corner.
Oh my God.
Innit? Not every day, take a historic true story and make me cry.
But now it leads us on to our next film, released in 1998,
Mulan. The production of Mulan was actually a very significant moment in Disney's Renaissance area. No. It was a significant moment in Disney's Renaissance era. It marked a shift towards more culturally diverse stories, which is weird because I feel like they kind of tapped into it, but I get, it really, Mulan did something very, very different.
Yeah.
It was also the first Disney animated film to focus on Chinese culture and folklore, centering around the legendary story of Ha Mulan. I'm obsessed with Mulan. I'm obsessed with her. And she's a woman who disguises herself as a man to take her father's place in the Chinese army. It was directed by Tony Bancroft and Barry Cook, and Mulan was a blend of traditional Disney animation, compelling action sequences, facts, themes of bravery, honor, and self-discovery. It was different. It definitely stood out. It was so different to me. The idea for Mulan originated from the Disney Studios' desire to create films that celebrated stories and cultures from around the world. And in 1994, Disney actually began exploring the idea of adapting the Chinese legend of Ha Mulan, a story that had been a part of Chinese folklore for centuries. The original Ballad of Mulan tells the story of a young woman who goes to war in place of her father, concealing her identity as a woman for years. Disney saw potential in this story as it aligned with themes of female empowerment, bravery, and breaking societal norms, which were becoming more popular in the 90s. Yeah.
Mulan was the first Disney animated feature to be set in China, and the filmmakers made significant efforts to ensure that the portrayal of Chinese culture was respectful and authentic. I'll say try again. Yeah, they tried. Yeah. Well, they tried. They can't get everything. A team of Disney artists and researchers traveled to China for 3 weeks to gather references for the film's backgrounds, architecture, and cultural details. They studied the landscapes, clothing, traditions, and artwork of ancient China, which were then incorporated into the film's design. It was beautiful, actually.
Yeah, it was a very, very stunning. Yeah. It was a very visually pleasing film.
Yeah, I think they also did that with The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, they traveled to both France, and I'm not too sure where it was that they travelled for The Lion King, but they definitely went somewhere, and also brought lions into the studio to look at them.
Yeah.
Show them what else.
Very good.
Yeah, really
sick. Very good.
While the film takes creative liberties with the original legend and Chinese history, the studio aimed to strike a balance between cultural authenticity and Disney's traditional storytelling style. CGI was used for several sequences, most notably the dramatic scene where the Huns charged down a mountain, showcasing hundreds of warriors on horseback.
terrifying. That
it was
so
really good, that scene.
Anyone just climbing and running over anything, like the wildebeest, the Huns, it's all terrifying.
Yeah, it was. You know what? I wasn't as scared as Lion King's wildebeest scene, weirdly enough. But I get that it can do the same thing.
Yeah, it had the same impact.
But I wasn't scared.
For me, it's seeing a lot of things charge at you at once. It makes me uncomfortable. It's like the stampede in Jumanji.
But Disney also brought in composer Jerry Goldsmith for the score and Matthew Wilder for the songs, with lyrics by David Zippel, who also worked on Hercules.
We love him.
The soundtrack combined traditional Chinese musical elements with Disney's typical musical structure, and some of the key songs include Reflection.
Beautiful song.
I know.
Beautiful song. Reflection just is my childhood. I think I sang Reflection constantly.
Yeah, Lauren would actually sit on the edge of our bed, or maybe even lie in the middle of it like this.
I would.
Reflection to herself.
But yes, I know that song became an absolute anthem, didn't it? Like of self-discovery.
Yeah.
And it was one of the best. Howard Ashman would be so proud.
Oh, he would.
Of that song.
Yeah, he would.
I think that was probably one of the best moments, that best Broadway-esque style of our main protagonist telling us who she is and what she wants.
Very true.
Yeah.
Ming-Na Wen, I really hope I'm pronouncing that right, voiced Mulan, bringing strength and vulnerability to the character. While Wen provided the speaking voice, Leah Salonga performed Mulan's singing parts, as she had also done for Princess Jasmine in Aladdin. You go get her with your vocals. Eddie Murphy voiced Mushu, Mulan's comedic sidekick, in a performance that added humour and levity to the film. Mushu became a standout character, with Murphy's comedic timing bringing a unique dynamic to the story.
Yeah, Mushu was brilliant. Mushu and the genie are my two favourite characters, I think, of all time in any Disney film. Of all time. And I know that's a strong statement. I absolutely adore a sidekick character.
Yeah,
so and a funny one.
A funny one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. I love Mushu.
So do I.
Yeah. Now, this film also didn't come without its controversy. So, in Chinese culture, dragons are revered creatures that symbolize power, strength, wisdom, and protection. And unlike Western portrayals of dragons as villains or dangerous creatures, Chinese dragons are seen as noble, divine protectors that bring good fortune. So, given the importance of dragons in Chinese culture, the portrayal of Mushu as a diminutive.
Right.
The portrayal of Mushu as a diminutive, clumsy, and often self-centered figure was seen by some Chinese audiences as inappropriate. Instead of being a majestic and powerful figure, Mushu is portrayed in a way that detracts from the traditional reverence accorded to dragons in Chinese mythology. So that's why when Disney decided to create a live-action adaptation of Mulan in 2020, one of the major changes was the removal of Mushu, just due to the backlash against the character in the original film. So just thought I'd mention that whilst we talked about
No, it's all right. You can carry on.
Murphy. Mulan grossed over 304 million worldwide, which made it a financial success for Disney. It didn't achieve the massive blockbuster status as The Lion King, of course, but it did perform very strongly, and it helped solidify Disney's ability to tell diverse international stories. And it remains one of the most beloved films from the Disney Renaissance for its themes of empowerment and its portrayal of strong, independent female protagonists, which is so important.
Yeah. I do love that one.
So do I. Last but certainly not least.
I'm surprised this one made the cut, you know.
Really?
You know, yeah. Or, I'm sorry, but maybe this film makes sense to end it.
Like it started the decline.
Yeah.
It's like this was the film that just made it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Even though I love this film so much, which is Tarzan, which was released in 1999. I love it, but I can see that it isn't on par with Mulan, Hunchback, Aladdin, The Lion King. It isn't, but I get why it just made the cut. But it was the period.
Yeah.
To that era.
No, I agree, Lene. I do actually agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good though. The production of Disney's Tarzan marked the final film of the Disney Renaissance, bringing an end to a decade of highly successful animated films. Tarzan was notable for its groundbreaking animation techniques, compelling characters, and a soundtrack that diverged from the traditional Disney musical format. True.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the music. Who's the
Phil Collins.
Phil Collins. I love that man's voice. My God. So good. He also sings a song that I've been playing recently.
Really?
I'll have to play it to you later. Tarzan was based on Edgar Rice Burroughs' novel, what a name, Tarzan of the Apes, which was, I think, released in 1912.
Yeah.
It had been adapted numerous times into live-action films and TV shows, but Disney's version was the first major animated adaptation of the story, and the studio sought to create a film that balanced the emotional depth of the original story with the visual grandeur that Disney was known for. The story of Tarzan centers on a boy raised by gorillas in the African jungle who eventually discovers his human origins and must choose between his animal family and the world of humans. The themes of family, identity, and belonging were central to the film's emotional core.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cute, isn't it?
It's so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous.
It's giving The Jungle Book, but yeah.
What I was absolutely blown away with Tarzan was the sequences of him going through the trees, which apparently was a new way of doing CGI, I think, if I've got that right. Yes, so one of the most revolutionary aspects of Tarzan was its use of a new technique called deep canvas. It basically allowed the animators to create 3D environments while maintaining a hand-drawn aesthetic. So you kind of get this good mix and this amalgamation of 2D and 3D to bring something really to life. And the technique was used in this film to create the lush, sweeping backgrounds of the jungle, making it feel more immersive and dynamic. I do remember that. I remember this particular scene where the leopard is hidden in the trees.
Yes.
And you see it, and then it just bursts into animation. And I remember being so impressed. Those scenes scared me. I think being in a jungle with all the wild animals, it was really scary.
Yeah,
and it was very immersive, because with the Jungle Book, you get that it's the same vibe, but Tarzan did feel way more action. Those sequences were really impressive.
Yeah.
And it was very effective in scenes where Tarzan was swinging through the trees. The animators wanted to depict Tarzan as a fast-moving, fluid character who interacts with the environment in a way that hadn't been seen in traditional animation before. And these sequences became iconic, given the character's movement and a surfer-like quality that added to the excitement and visual spectacle of the film. So it was very, very cool. Unlike the previous Disney Renaissance films, where the characters often broke into song, Tarzan featured music that was primarily performed by Phil Collins, who was a British rock and pop musician. Collins' songs served as narrative support for the film's emotional beats, rather than being integrated as, I don't know how to say this word, diegetic, I think.
Let's say diegetic.
I think it's diegetic. So Collins' songs served as narrative support for the film's emotional beats rather than being integrated as diegetic performances by the characters, which I know you said that earlier, but it went so well.
Yeah.
So well.
It really did. By the time Tarzan was in production, Disney faced growing competition from CGI animation studios, particularly Pixar, which is funny because Pixar was working with Disney, but it was Pixar's Toy Story 1995 and A Bug's Life, which was released in 1998, had demonstrated the potential of computer-generated animation, and DreamWorks Animation was beginning to emerge as a major competitor. Tarzan is often considered the final film of the Disney Renaissance, following the massive success of films like The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin. Tarzan marked the end of a decade where Disney had reasserted its dominance in the animation industry. After Tarzan, Disney's traditional 2D animated features began to decline in both box office performance and critical reception, with CGI becoming the dominant form of animation in the 2000s. That's true, actually.
And Brother Bear. Atlantis. Treasure Planet. It was that era.
Started to fall off. I know, I get it, because you looked at those and then you were looking at, I'll be honest, you were looking at DreamWorks like, well, they've got the better animation.
Yeah.
And you're still...
Yeah, Toy Story 2.
Yeah, sticking with the 2D.
Because Toy Story 2 is arguably one of those sequels that really is
amazing.
Yeah.
Tarzan was a box office hit, grossing over $448 million worldwide.
See, I didn't expect it to do more than Mulan.
Yeah, this is what I mean. It's weird. It's a weird one.
But maybe the Phil Collins aspect. I don't know.
Possibly. Making it one of the highest grossing animated films of 1999.
Yeah.
It performed well, both domestically and internationally, helping Disney end the Renaissance era on a financial high note. Yeah. I get it.
I like that.
Critics praised the film for its innovative animation, particularly for the use of deep canvas, as well as the emotional depth of its characters and story. The voice acting, especially by Tony Goldwyn,
AKA President Fitz in Scandal.
Oh, sexy man. Who was Tarzan, and Minnie Driver, who was Jane. You know what, actually, I
Minnie
love
Driver
Jane.
is so stunning. Wow,
they were brilliant. Those actors were widely appreciated. Phil Collins' soundtrack received positive reviews for its contemporary feel and the way it enhanced the emotional moments of the film, although some traditional Disney fans missed the musical numbers sung by the characters themselves. I get that.
Yeah?
Yeah, because you've just had hit after hit after hit where all of them have these amazing numbers. Then the last one to end it, no one...
Yeah, it's just
no one sings.
Well, yeah.
You do have
the monkeys,
you
the
have
gorillas in
yeah.
the
They have their own little number, but you don't have one of the main characters really.
Yeah, I agree.
I get it. But Tarzan won several awards, including the Academy Award for Best Original Song for You'll Be in My Heart, as well as a Golden Globe in the same category. And I think, you know what, when you have the song You'll Be in My Heart, maybe they thought they don't need a number, because that was enough.
It was enough.
Yeah, it was enough. I get it. It's a strong finish, but I mean, maybe it's just me. This is probably my own opinion. It's not as good as the rest of them, but it's a strong finish. Like, let's end it here.
Yeah.
Before we try and continue this and it just flops. So,
yeah, you make a good point.
at least it was successful. It was a good story. They had an amazing score, soundtrack. Yeah. Great characters, lovable characters. Yeah. It was a good time, the 90s.
The 90s was a great time.
It was a good
and
time.
I think that's why we think, I know it's very much biased because we were born in the 90s, but I think that's why we think we reign supreme.
Obviously.
Because we were born during one of the most successful eras of Disney.
Yeah.
Where all the magic was truly happening. And so for us watching it back, it was amazing.
Yeah. Staple characters who I think like run a lot of the Disney parks. Yeah. There's so many lovable characters from all the films from start to finish.
Yeah.
Who I genuinely believe are like backbone to Disney.
Yeah.
Staples. Thank you for listening, everybody. That is the end of everything. If you haven't heard part 1, go back and listen to that because it'll make sense as to why this episode started the way that it did.
Yeah.
But we hope you enjoyed both part 1 and part 2. If you like these kind of episodes as well, let us know. We're definitely going to do a deep dive into other animation studios.
Yes.
So we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
But thank you for listening.
Bye.